2023. Goalkeepers: Lawrence Atizigi, Richard Ofori, Joseph Walcott. Fullbacks: Alidu Seidu, Dennis Odoi, Kingsley Schindler, Gideon Mensah, Hamid Fatal. Central defenders: Daniel Amati, Nicholas Opoku, Alexander Jiku, Mohamed Salisu. Midfield plus advanced midfield players: Salih Samid, Babak Adrisu, Majid Ashimiru, Elisha Owusu, Richmond Lamptey, Mohamed Kudas, Andre Ayew, Ransford Konisdorfer. Wingers, stroke wide players: Osman Bukhari, Joseph Pansel, Jordan Ayew, Ernest Luama. Strikers, number 9s: Iñaki Williams, Antoine Somenio, Jonathan Sowen. And that completes my 27 squad list for Afcon 2023.
Thank you very much. So, colleagues, that is the squad for the tournament. The floor is now open for your questions. Thank you.
Chris, I am Mukhtar Nabil. I work with the Multimedia Group. Ghana hasn't won the Afcon in about 41, 42 years. The recent population shows that a chunk of us don't know how it feels to win an African Cup. How much of a responsibility do you think you're carrying heading into the African Cup of Nations? And also, just a quick one. Fatawi Sahabo has been sensational for Leicester. His name hasn't been mentioned.
So, first question as regards my responsibility and pressure of the job that I'm in. I've been fortunate enough to be in 2 roles since being employed by the GFA. One as technical advisor, of course, now as head coach. So, in that period of time, that I've spent here in Ghana, which is a substantial period of time, watched a lot of local games, I've watched so many with my staff, I've watched so many local players. It's very, very easy to understand what the Ghanaian public expects from the Black Stars. I know historically, but I'm here now. So this one was no surprise to me with how the Black Stars have historically competed in this competition worldwide. So yes, it's a big responsibility, but it's a responsibility that I look forward to. I look forward to from the day that I took the job. My role is to take a team into an Afcon tournament with high expectations, and I don't want to be taking a team there that doesn't feel that we can compete and win a tournament. And this is what myself and my technical team will be certainly addressing consistently with the group of players that we have. As regards the talent, when I put this squad together, and myself and my technical team, what I was adamant about was that this was going to be a balanced squad. So there is method and a very big thought process that has been developed on every player that we've picked and every position that we've thought about. We have a situation where probably from the players that we picked, we have potentially 7 players that either can play on the right or are playing on the right. And it's my responsibility as head coach to balance this squad. And in balance this squad, there are always very difficult decisions that I have to make. Certainly, the individual that you spoke about for Tal, yes, it was a difficult decision. But I have to make these difficult decisions for what I believe are the correct reasons.
Okay, next question. Julian.
Hello, Coach. Good morning. My name is Juliet Goma from Supersport. I want to ask you 2 questions. The first one is I want to know what thought process went into selecting these players for the Afcon competitions. And secondly, not to put pressure on you or the team, we've heard about the expectations, and you also know about the expectations. Would not winning the African competitions constitute failure for you, and what price do you want to pay for that?
So the first part of the question is the thought process going into this competition doesn't start 2 days before we name the squad. This thought process starts from the time that we qualified for Afcon 2022. What I want is a balanced squad. This is what I've been working hard, and also this is part of the reason why I've spent myself and my technical team have spent the amount of time that we have. Also looking at the local games, the local players that fit into maybe positions that we feel that are not maybe the strongest positions that we can have. So the thought process works always around saying balance and having balance in the team. There will always be players, and I'm quite sure that if I looked at everybody here and asked everybody here, the 27-man squad, there would be however many different squads. But the responsibility is now to myself and my technical staff. And one thing I can assure you is that the process has been a long and hard process, where we spent many hours discussing, a huge amount of hours watching either live or video, and this is our conclusions. As regards the price I have to pay, this is not something I think about. I think about one thing. I think about putting a team together for Afcon 2023 that will make this nation. This is all.
Okay, Benjamin.
Hi, Coach. Good morning. Benjamin Iketia from City FM, City TV. I have 3 questions, but I'll keep it brief. So, we know that when a team is going to a tournament, it needs to take its best players. I want to ask you, first of all, we've had some players who have had strenuous relationships with the Football Association or with the national team, i.e. Alfred Duncan, Jeffrey Schlupp, Bernard Mensah. What efforts have you made since you became coach to reconcile with these players, and did you talk to them ahead of this tournament? Secondly, Sule Muntari spoke about discipline after the World Cup. I mean, we've had reports of issues of discipline in camp. How much of a discipline stamp do you think you have had on this particular squad going into the tournament? And lastly, are there any injuries among the players that have been announced that we probably need to know about? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so sorry about the delay, but I had to write down the 3 questions, 'cause I don't want to miss anything. So what I can tell you is that on any players that have been involved in the past and haven't been involved for quite some time, and in particular the 3 players that you've mentioned, the 2 areas that I have to look at. One is, have I made contact, which means, am I sure that this individual player continues to not want to be involved with the national team, and also that this player will ultimately be in the squad. And that's the balance that I have to have with every player that comes into this equation. So what I can tell you is that on all three players, they come into the 2 categories that I've spoken of. Either 1, that I have contacted them, or 2, that they would not have been in my initial 27, the final 27 squad line. So all 3 of these players fall into this category. As regards I think on the question of discipline, I'm not quite sure of the nature of the question. So you either explain that more or we deal with it afterwards.
So there was an instance where I think, like I said, I quoted Sule Muntari. He said he was shocked to be in camp and he was surprised at moments where there were probably team gatherings and some players were on live Instagram and on TikTok and stuff like that. He didn't think that was right for discipline or for team culture in a tournament.
Okay, so no, this is very, very easy. What you are speaking about is hearsay. You are speaking about something that certainly has not been brought to my attention. We have a group of players on it in every camp that is with us for a period of time. Our responsibility, apart from the results of the games we play, is to have a good spirit in the camp. My feeling is that the camps that I have been involved with have not lacked spirit. And this is not my time, this is also the previous coach's time, that the camp has never lacked spirit. And this is a group of players that are individual players that come together, that are proud and delighted to see each other. So these are the only things I can speak about. what we have to do is install the discipline that we need in a short period of time. Camp sometimes can be 2 days preparation before a game. And, we are very keen and always run a camp with the discipline that we need and the spirit that is needed to incorporate good performances. So I can't comment on what is hearsay. The last one is just regarding injuries. Thomas Partey, for sure, and I say this not in a detrimental way to the squad that we have, but he's one of our most important players. This we know. Withstanding his injury, he certainly would be in the squad. We know that. We know the quality of the player that he has, that he is. But this is a player that has a substantial injury. I've spent a lot of time over this period of time with Thomas, and also engaging with the medical staff at Arsenal Football Club. They will treat this injury with caution. So will the player. This is a big injury for him, and the biggest injury that he's had. And the most important thing for me as head coach and our association is to give him the support that he needs through this period of time. From all the information that we've been given, the timelines of his recovery, and the caution that it will take, will not meet our timelines for Afcon. So apart from Thomas, we have Mohamed Kudus, who I think we are expecting him to join the group, hopefully in a few days. He has a very slight injury issue that just needs to be dealt with before he joins camp. We're hopeful of having him very soon.
Good morning. Yeah, my name is Clara, a musician, and I work with GBC TV. Yeah, let me say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. You know, we Ghanaians, we're always interested in results here. Can you assure us that this time you're not only going to participate, but you're bringing us the cup? Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's anybody in the room that can ever guarantee anything. But I'll go back to my initial statement. Is that I don't want to be head coach of a team that doesn't feel they can win Afcon 2023.
Coach, my name is Hughton, I'm the sports editor at Radio. I have concerns about the back and forth about the campaign base for the team. It raises questions about how coordinated this was. The last time our brother Henry was on Joy, and he indicated that perhaps one of the considerations that were made in rescinding that was cost. Drawing comparisons, I think, between the cost of playing Botswana and South Africa and Namibia here. Is that something you're comfortable with? Because to the best of my knowledge, the most important consideration in determining the opponent has to be the sporting value you get from each of these friendlies. Number two, did it come to your knowledge about the friendly or the opportunity to play Algeria before the tournament? And because I expected that at least we'll have one, if not high profile, mid-profile team, especially because we've got Egypt in our group, and in the event that we were to progress, they've got Nigeria and then Ivory Coast in the other group.
Okay, so thank you as regards camp, I think that's something that has already been spoken about. In any preparation or any schedule, there sometimes can be changes. What we have to do always as technical staff and an organisation is to embrace those changes and adapt accordingly. So that we will do. We will make sure that this is a good camp where we can create spirit, that we can do all the work that is necessary for us to do during the camp period. We will play a very good fixture here in Kumasi, where we will allow the supporters to watch the game. Sometimes a team during this period of time will want the game behind closed doors. What we saw this was an opportunity to open the doors for our supporters to, in effect, their farewell to us before we go to Afcon 23. And as regards any friendly game that is proposed or put to us, I am aware of all. I'm aware of every opportunity that we have. This is in my conversations that I will have with the GFA. And we have to take everything into consideration around our camp. So there is always a reason, and there is always a schedule that we have in place that determines our camp. And this is a camp that we very much look forward to.
Follow up. What is the microphone? Follow up. Follow up. Hold on, we follow up. Sorry, hold on.
Kelvin also has 3 sports. Coach, you spoke about the injuries and the decisions into making Thomas Partey's decision. Now we look at the central defenders. You mentioned 4 of them, and it looks like all the 4 haven't been blessed with too much fitness in the last 8 months. Now, Abdul has been one of our top performing players in the Spanish La Liga. Is that also a reason that went to it? And how comfortable are you with this 4, judging from their recent history when it comes to injuries?
Yes, I think as regards central defenders, and my decision was to include 4 central defenders. And I think certainly with Daniel Amati, he's had a period out, which was generally a short period, but apart from that, he's generally played regular. Jiku, I think the same, and has been back playing for a while. Salisu's probably the only one of the 3 that's had a longer period out. This is a player that we value highly, that we've kept in contact. We've been aware of the period of training that he's had. And we have to be comfortable. We have to make these decisions around the options that we have. And you mentioned 1 player, but I could mention probably another 3 or 4 or 5, 6 in that position. In that position, that are playing well and playing regular for their clubs. So these are hard decisions. And the decisions I've made are a balance of experience, quality, and know-how going into what is obviously a tournament.
Happy New Year to you, Coach. The President, in his initial remarks, admitted to the team, which is a general fact, being in challenge in recent times, especially the 2 African Cup of Nations, have been some of the most disastrous for Ghana. And having noticed that these competitions were led by coaches who have some practical knowledge of the African terrain, and have some experience in the Afcon. You have none. Going into the competition with a team that is under very serious challenges in that competition. How is that an advantage or otherwise for you?
I think when you talk about challenges, there are always balances. So it can be balances can be a head coach that hasn't experienced this before. It can be a head coach that has not so much experience. It can be a head coach that has a lot of experience. It can be a head coach that has experience of working with players in the guise of a head coach, and of course as an assistant coach. It can be a head coach that is born in the country, or as I see in so many of the African teams, it can be coaches that are born outside of the country. So these are all the balances. One thing that has to be the common denominator is a coach that's prepared to work with the players, has a know-how of the players, and knows what the task is. I've already spoken about this in this press conference today. I am aware of what the challenges are. I think that when I look at the African Cup of Nations, I see changes. I see even in the makeup of the teams that play. So many more countries have players playing that are not playing in their countries, that are playing abroad, particularly Europe. So as much as you speak about the coach, his responsibilities, what he knows about the African Cup of Nations, it's also in every country a group of players that were not born in that country. So there are so many different guys that can drive the head coach on to one success.
Okay, I'll be the last three questions. The last Juliet will give the follow-up. You are done. Then the writer will ask you something. So Frank,
Hello, Coach. Hello, Frank here from Hughton. My question is with respect to the local players that were in the professional squad but didn't make the final one. I spoke to a couple of them that it means a lot to them to at least see themselves in that squad. Those that didn't make it, have you been able to speak to them, and what did you tell them?
We had a professional squad of 55 players. We have a final squad of 27 players. Apart from one player, I have spoken to every single player that was in the 55-man squad that didn't make the squad. And the one player that I wasn't able to speak to is not a local player. So yes, I've spoken to all of the local players. I think first and foremost, I think for them, I think it was a pride being firstly in that 55-man squad. And from that 55-man squad, the local players was not just a concentration of players that I'd seen, but of course my technical side. We spent many hours either watching live or on video. And it was just, I think, a question of pride for them. I think they appreciated that we took the time to contact them. And what we've said to them is that they have to keep doing what they're doing. And if they continue to do well in their clubs, then of course there's always the opportunity that they will be noticed more by the national team.
Juliet.
Coach, one more question. One team that runs through the Black Stars play in recent times, I'm sure you also are aware about, is our inability to elevate our game and also be progressive when we are playing matches. Is it a challenge for you going into this tournament to maybe bring the team to a better standing in the African Cup of Nations, or does that trouble you going into the tournament?
No, I think I get the question. Does it worry me? No, it doesn't. But I am very conscious. I'm very conscious of the things that I think we've done well, and I'm very conscious of the things that we haven't done so well. I'm very conscious of the performances that have been good, and the performances that have not been so good, and the areas to improve. We have the players for probably the best period of time that we've had, the training camp that we have, and it gives us an opportunity to work within the shape that we have and to address any particular issues that we feel that we have, or any areas that we think that we can improve. So, as head coach, myself and my technical staff are very aware of the areas that we can improve. We are very aware of the standards that we need to do well in this tournament.
Official coach, what is it?
Happy New Year to you.
What is it?
I knew there would be one difficult one. And with all your years as well.
Okay, coach. On behalf of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana, and on behalf of Ghanaians, I arrogate myself this power. I wish to assure you that, as the President demanded that we rally behind you, you have our full support, we're solid behind you, and I'm confident that, from what I've seen, God willing, you will lead this team to exercise the ghost that has haunted us for the last 4 decades. Inshallah. My question, I'm asking this question because I want us to put this to bed once and for all. There's always a very strong suspicion within Ghanaian footballing circles that when the team is being selected, there are magisterial and tyrannical hands that aid or pressurize you to pick the team, the technical team. I want us to put this to bed once and for all. Was there a time that unseen forces tried to pressurize you to pick the team that you have decided to settle on for the Afcon?
Firstly, thank you very much for your encouragement and best wishes, particularly as somebody as honourable as yourself that has been doing what you've been doing for the long period that you have and the standing that you have in the media game. So firstly, I thank you for that. If I'm speaking about mysterious hands, there are only 2 sets of mysterious hands that can have any influence at all on the team that I pick or the squad that I pick. And that is my 2 assistants, George and Diddy. And that's it. I have a relationship with my technical staff, with the GFA, and the media. And around this period of time, I'm experienced enough and have been doing this job long enough to know that if the team doesn't do well, then I will be looked at. This is normal. This is normal as management. So certainly under any of those circumstances, any team, any tactic, any squad that I pick will be my team. My team, my squad, my tactics.
session. I would like to thank you for your coming on behalf of the Ghana Football Association. So, like I mentioned earlier, the team begins campaign tomorrow. The first training session is tomorrow afternoon in Kumasi. They will engage in one friendly game on Monday, January 10th at the Obayara Sports Stadium. Sorry, Monday, January 8th at the Obayara Sports Stadium. And the plan is to depart Accra for Cote d'Ivoire on Wednesday, January 10th. So that is the itinerary for now. But one very important information for my colleague media men and women is that all the training sessions will be held behind closed doors. But like Coach mentioned earlier, the friendly against Namibia will be open to the public. So at least we shall have the opportunity to wish the team well before the players depart for Cote d'Ivoire. He also wants me to mention that streaming is not allowed. The friendly streaming is not allowed. But beginning from tomorrow, I'm sure we'll continue to hammer it in order for all our colleagues to get this particular message. Once again, thank you so much. Enjoy your Monday afternoon and a happy new year to all of you.
Thank you.